Now, I have to begin this video by stating that I'm not the biggest fan of AMD cards, especially not when they are brand new and relatively expensive and the drivers have just come out and they are full of issues, okay? However, I am an honest reviewer, so I have to give credit when it's due. And maybe because AMD's color is red, but these cards do age like fine wine. So the best card on around the 200 euros price point slash $200, the market are the same, might just be the RX 6700 XT, which is what I have here today. Now, we'll cover exactly why in this video. The drivers are also pretty good. I have to admit, I have to say, you will not see me do this kind of video on an RX 6900 XT, at least not before it's like half the price it was brand new. But if you have to buy a used GPU for 1080p in 2024, this is the card to buy. So let's get started. Now, based on the RX 6000 series from AMD, when this card came out, it wasn't exempt from problems. Many customs had overheating issues. However, what I have here is a reference card, and these were actually a bit better, but still, we had to do a full repaste and repad to the card, as I show in my tutorials, to get it running properly. If you buy one, you do have to dismount it fully. You do have to change the paste and change the pads. I do recommend Arctic paste, MX6 and Arctic's pads. Honestly, if you're watching this channel, it should be easy for you, okay? No problem. We will discuss all the thermal results and motivations. Basically, supposing you've done that, okay? If you are not comfortable with dismounting the card, don't buy this card, really. Okay, it's that bad with the stock paste, okay? But with that said, on the channel, I've covered the RX Vega 56 not too long ago, and that was the mid-range card, basically the equivalent to the NVIDIA GTX 1070 of the time, and that one, after BIOS modding it, undervolting it, overclocking it, was crazy good. It was basically matching an RTX 3060. Now, this thing here was the equivalent of the RTX 3070. However, it lost to it all the time. And I mean all the time. This thing was actually closer in performance, aside from AMD sponsored titles, to an RTX 3060 Ti, okay? But after you repaste it, and if you're willing to tweak it properly, even though this card is non-BIOS moddable, you can actually catch and surpass an RTX 4060, which is what we are comparing it today. This card will be much faster than an RX 7600 XT and obviously of the RX 7600. So why is it relevant? Well, what can you buy brand new for 200 bucks? I'll tell you, you can buy an RTX 3050, which is roughly 35% slower on average than this card, so a massive difference. Or from AMD, you can buy like an RX 6500 XT, or maybe a 65, like one of those 50s refresh cards, like the RX 6650 XT, but these are too expensive still. They're going for like 300 bucks on average. So you can basically buy nothing on the new market. So the comparison for this card has to be on the used market. So what can you buy for 200 bucks used? Well, maybe an RTX 3060. Actually, you can buy an RTX 3060 for 200 bucks used pretty easily. But you cannot buy a 3070 for 200 bucks used, at least not easily. So cards like these are readily available on the used market. It's full, at least in Italy, where I'm from, it's full of them for like 200 bucks. If the guy is asking like 250, just tell him, hey, I'll pay 200, come pick it up today. I will pay in cash, and he will give it to you for 200. And for 200 bucks, this card can actually do 240 Hz gaming on 1080p with the right CPU, because the build we have right here with the card, we have it on the channel. So if you want to go see how to make basically a fully budget build, because here we also had like an older Gen i7, we tweaked it, we overclocked things, and now it's running super well. Go check out the video on the channel. But basically, this PC right here can do 240 Hz gaming at 1080p with competitive titles. Now, of course, don't expect to play Warzone at 240 Hz, but expect to play Warzone at 1080p at 165 Hz stable with this card after you overclock it. And I do have a full undervolting tutorial on the channel in case you want. It's a bit old, the quality on the video is low, but the content is nice, I promise. But not only competitive, you can also play serious titles. You can play Cyberpunk at 60 FPS with just a bit of upscaling, you know, just a little bit of upscaling. 60 FPS is doable. Now, the sequel to Horizon Zero Dawn just came out. I can't remember how it's called, but I tested it, and you can play at 60 FPS in there as well. This card is good for 1080p. Is it good for 1440p? Well, it is for competitive titles. You can play Fortnite at 144 Hz on 1440p. You can play Apex at 144 Hz on 1440p. Yes. But really, I think it's a 1080p card, also because it has 8 GB of VRAM, and nowadays VRAM requirements are getting pretty high. So I would not buy less than 8 GB of VRAM in 2024, definitely not. But for higher resolution, like 1440p, 8 gigs start to be a bit low, to be honest. So that's my take on it. All in all, the price is good, rasterization performance is very good. If you want to have ray tracing on this card, don't buy this card, it's bad. But just for normal gaming with decent settings at high refresh rate, it's a great card. Now I know what you guys are thinking, but hey, doesn't it draw a lot of power? And surprisingly, not. So after undervolting, and this is key, this card will actually run on around 150 watts actual power from the card if you tweak it properly, because this card here has an 8+6 pin, but really it could have lived with just an 8 pin with no problem. Why am I saying only if you undervolt it? Because AMD cards have this characteristic. Basically, out of the box, they are really bad. Like, they either push them too high, like generally, AMD wants to catch NVIDIA, so they push the clock so high that the cards are bad in terms of efficiency and temperatures. However, if you dial it back down a little bit, give it a little bit less voltage so you don't hit power limit all the time, suddenly they start running properly. So you need to spend some time with this card. Again, change the pace, change the pads, change the settings, change the clocks in Windows, but it's all easy, like really. If you're watching this video, you can do it. And after you've done that, it will be a great card. Honestly, you can catch an RTX 3070 with the right overclock in here, stock 3070 of course, and you can beat an RTX 4060, even coming very close to 4060 Ti with this card. So it's the best card to buy for 1080p mid-range gaming in the used market right now, and I actually don't recommend you buy anything else if not this card. Well, that's a bit extreme, okay? You can also buy a 3070, 3060 Ti used, but this is easy to buy, good performer, I do recommend it. And the drivers are finally decent. So yes, if the video was helpful, please drop a like and a sub. Do let me know if you like those kind of GPU re-review videos. Take a look at the channel maybe, I have many builds and many tutorials which you might like or find helpful. Goodbye.